Hi everyone, welcome to the Life of Education podcast. We're here again with Cloe Sommadossi. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Amazing.
you did.
And today we're talking about basically the business of fitness and the business of Pilates and what it takes to really be a business owner. So Chloe, do you want to let us know a little bit about your businesses?
Well, yes, I was born and raised in Italy. I moved to Dubai 4 years ago to open a Pilates studio in Dubai. I've been in the Pilates industry for almost 20 years now. It's my
long time.
20th year loving and being passionate about Pilates. And I used to own a teeny tiny boutique studio in Milan. My dream was really to open a bigger studio to build a community around it. And I was lucky enough to be able to do it. So I own the Pilates Academy in Dubai. We've got one branch in JLT who's been up and running for 3.5 years. And we just opened our second branch in Business Bay, 12 minutes walking from the Burj Khalifa. So I'm really, really excited. I'm really, really excited about it.
Congratulations about your
Thank
second
you.
studio.
Thank you.
Talking about Pilates specifically, because that's your thing, what kind of considerations do you have to make when you're trying to make a successful Pilates studio, when it comes to like starting at the beginning from the thought of, I think I can do a Pilates business, and then you go, right, I'm going to do it. You open your laptop up. What do you do?
Well, I'm going to repeat myself again and again, but what you need to do is to love it. You really have to be passionate about it because you are going to live with it. Literally, when you own a business, it's not like a normal job. You don't just go to the office around 9 and then come back at 6, and then that chapter shuts down and you think about your personal life. When you own a business, you are the business, and the business is your life. Everything becomes interconnected, and you never really take a minute.
Working,
You never take a day off. You never take a morning off. You never take a night off. So you really need to be very passionate about it, and it needs to mean a lot to you. And my first point, I've written down some notes about what I wanted to speak about today. And my first point is money cannot be your only why. If you're doing things for money, forget about it. Forget about it. You'll never get there. It can be one of your whys. It can be a byproduct of what you do, but it cannot be the reason why or the only reason why you do things, because that is my personal opinion, but I don't think you're going to be successful if you're only looking at the financial aspect.
Just to play devil's advocate. Not like I'm taking the opposition here. I agree completely with
because if the financial aspect is your only motivation, you are going to miss up on so many other things that are the things that make a business successful, that your business will not be successful. And the second thing is, I believe to own a successful Pilates studio, you should be a Pilates expert. I know many.
I agree with you so much, especially in Dubai. You see so many yoga studios and Pilates studios, and I'm stomping my foot here if you're not like watching this, but so many Pilates and yoga studios get opened by people who want this as a business venture, and even gyms, and they know nothing about it, nothing about what it's like to be a teacher, nothing about the methodology, nothing about the history, nothing about any of those considerations, the nuances of it, of the craft, and they just strip it, and it's really sad. And do you know what though? Most of those have tended to close over the time. Like I've been here 10 years, and they open, they do great for a little bit, and then they close.
That proves your point though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You gotta be the expert. You gotta.
Yeah.
I believe it makes if you are not the expert, you need to have an expert that you fully trust, but that that you trust so much that you're willing to put your personal beliefs aside to follow. And I don't know how easy that is. So it comes to the point
I've worked in loads of those, and it's not very easy.
So it's not very easy because, of course, you've got an opinion. Of course, you've got your personal preferences. But sometimes, because you're not an expert, you don't really understand that priorities might be different when you have a different eye onto the business. And I always make this example. My husband is a professional actor. We go to a show, either at the movie theater or at the theater. I see something happening, but what he sees is a million different things. He has an eye for the light, he has an eye for the acting, he has an eye for the pictures, he has an eye for so many things that I don't even perceive because I'm not an expert, right? So the level of detail and the level of appreciation of things that you can achieve really depends on the knowledge that you have towards those things. So when you are an expert, and we speak about nuances, but for sure your approach is different than the approach of anybody else who has a passion but is not a professional expert. And it is true, most of the businesses, most of the fitness businesses in Dubai are owned by people who open it as a business, who are investors. Yes, that is not easy. That is a big leap of faith. So if you want to open a Pilates studio, I think being an expert, becoming an instructor, working, and that is another thing, working in a million other places is crucial to make you understand not only the point of view of the owner, but the point of view of the instructors and the employees. That is a very, very important point. There are so many things that I see in the instructors who work with me, and sometimes I'm like, gosh, but why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? And then I think about
some examples. I really resonate with what you're saying here. Give us some examples so that people can understand.
Okay, the greatest example that comes to my mind is we own a beautiful studio. The space is gorgeous, and the instructors who I'm lucky enough to have around me are incredibly knowledgeable, passionate, and they're just a blessing. The people you really want around you. Sometimes I wonder, why don't they bring in clients? How is that? And they have like special rates if they bring in their own clients to the studio. And I'm like, why don't they do it? They never really... Why don't they support the business by bringing people in? And then I think about when I was a Pilates instructor. I worked in so many places and clinics and studios and big studios and tiny studios. And I feel like I'm a very social person. I'm a person who tends to support others. But although I have those qualities, like... although it comes natural to me to do all those things, I never brought a single client to any of the studios I worked in. And then I'm like, well, if I didn't do it and it's something that could have come natural to me, why should I be surprised about the fact that my instructors don't do it, or that they do it very little? It doesn't... And the fact that I was an instructor in so many places and I was there myself makes me understand that point of view a lot better. And I think that's one of the reasons why I would say don't become a Pilates instructor and then you open your own studio. No, become a Pilates instructor and then work in a million studios and then learn what are the things that you really like about those places, but also the things that you don't like about those places, and try to make your place unique that way.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talk about the employees and kind of their mindset as where they're going to help your business or not. I had a conversation with a guy who moved from being a trainer to kind of a small business owner, and he had a guy working for him, and he was sort of not complaining, but he was talking to me about the challenges he was having with the guy, with his employee. And he just turned on the point of, like, you know, he's just got an employee mentality. And I looked at him and I was like, of course he does. Because he is an employee. Like, this is what you laid out in his contract is what he's doing. If you want to get people to bump up and to start to change, you as a leader, you need to show them, do you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know how you would support your staff that way.
Well, there's one thing that I strongly believe in within my team. People don't work for me, they work with me. And that's, I think, from a philosophical point of view, but it ends up being a very practical point of view. We work together. And if you get into my studio and you ask, probably if you take a sample of 100 clients, less than 50% know that I'm the studio owner. Nobody knows about it. I'm one of them. I'm one of them when I clean the equipment. I'm one of them when I try to lead by example, and even if I'm super exhausted, I try to just clean up the room. I'm one of them when I answer and help my employees and my secretaries answering the emails at 1 a.m. I'm one of them. I believe when you work with people, you need, and especially if you are the owner of the business, you have to get to the office first in the morning, be the last who leaves, be always there for them before they're there for you. You must be there for them. And that is also something that I struggle understanding. There's so many friends of mine who work for bigger or smaller companies. They come to me, they're like, no, I cannot take my leaves. I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, when you work with somebody, it doesn't mean they own your life. It doesn't mean they own your personal life. It means you have the chance and you're lucky enough to have those people around you support your dreams, and you need to support them at least as much as they support yours. So it's not like I decide when you go on holiday, as you let me know when you would like to go. And there must be one chance over a million that you're really picking some days where you're making my life miserable. But you know what? Even if that is the case, if that's your priority, you go. And I'll find the solution, because I don't own your life just because we work together. And I believe, like, if that's my belief, if more people were dealing with the people they have around them this way, I think they would end up getting a lot more from.
Yeah, people have to learn their lessons, don't they? You know, through all different types of experience. You really learn how to migrate your way, you know, in your skill set with doing the Pilates with your clients, but then also finding your way as part of the team, where you are in the team, and finding how to communicate with people. That's a huge part of getting to the point where then you eventually become the owner or the manager, where you can see it from both sides. You can see, look, I was in your position. I used to act the way you do, and I used to come in and leave at certain times, but now I'm on this side. I appreciate both positions, and just because you've had some issues like that, you know, where you're trying to find that balance beam along the to migrate.
It's definitely very, very tough. And I think one of the things that I learned from being on both ends of it, from being a teacher and being a manager, and going back to being a teacher and then going back to managing studios and then consulting for studios and building studios, is that you really, like, for starters, what you mentioned before, if you're not the expert in it, then you really have to work with someone who trusts you, and if they don't, then you have huge problems. And I've experienced that myself, being with owners that they didn't understand the industry, and they didn't understand, like, I'll give you an example. I told you about this before already. It was about and we'll keep this I won't be specific with it, but so in the fitness industry, you work your classes or your private sessions, and then you go home. And it's an industry where you either work in the morning or you work in the evening or you work chunks of the day, but it's not like 9 to 5. And the people that I worked for at some stage, we'll keep it nice and open, were very much into, no, this is a business. We want everyone to be here in 8 hours a day. And it was actually UAE labor laws. They wanted people there 9 hours a day, 6 days a week. and trying to explain to people who weren't in the industry and didn't understand that that is not industry standards, and that you're not going to get the best out of people if you make them do that, because it's so different to sitting in an office where you can be on your laptop and you can have moments where you switch off. When you're physically talking and interacting with people and being really present, it takes something different. You got to be there. You got to actually be there, and it can be really tiring for instructors. Really, really tiring.
Well, you know, I was reading this article. There was the list of the toughest jobs in the world, in terms of mental and physical fatigue, the most demanding jobs. And I thought carrying heavy loads or stuff. No, the most tiring job and toughest job in the world is being a ballet dancer, classical ballet dancer. Wow. And the second toughest job in the world is being a fitness instructor.
Really?
Wow.
Yes.
What are they quantifying on that?
I don't.
Yeah?
I cannot recall the
Yeah.
entire article, but that was second in the list, and I was like, I do have a very tough job. We do have a very tough job. It is very demanding. You need to be present. You need to lead by example. You need to be what you preach, because otherwise why would you be there, right?
There? Yeah.
And you need to be socially available. You need to be energetically available. You need to be fully charged. You need to be careful in terms of really taking care of others. You need to be able to listen. There's so much going on. You need to be knowledgeable and careful that you're not hurting other people. There's so much going on in the brain of an instructor, and you deal with so many different kind of people that you cannot always be the same. You have to change the way you communicate, the way you stand, the way you approach the others every single hour.
I think you can't just learn that. What you're saying now is different. You got to identify what type of person you're speaking to, how they absorb information, how they respond to information, and then you need to adapt on the same level as them. Because it was kind of what you were saying when you're trying to. There's a book by Jocko Willink called Extreme Ownership, and he talks about communicating up the channel and communicating down the channel. So as a leader, you've got people who are below you, and you've got to tell them what to do, and you've got to inspire them, and you've got to listen, you've got to do the whole thing. He's a military guy, for talking about a Navy SEAL, but the amount of EQ, the amount of emotional intelligence that he brings to that job, and how you got it, like you're dealing with people's lives, you need to make them feel safe and feel wanted. And it's not about just ordering people. That people have the misconception that that's what the military is, but it's not that at all. But he talks about going up the chain, like you're trying to talk to your seniors, your investors, like how the industry works, and you've got two huge
paradigm viewpoints.
It's
very different viewpoints.
Yeah, and you're stuck in the middle. So going into the kind of administration side, right? You're thinking about it that way from, okay, you see yourself as the best Pilates instructor in the world. You've got the expertise. You've done 15 years bouncing around 2 studios a year in 10 different countries, and now you've time to sit down.
Open your own.
Yeah.
So there's something else that I would like to say before going into the administration part is, and that's probably my personal approach, but I really wanted to open a studio because I wanted it to be a community, a learning environment for the people around me. And whoever I have around me, for me, the main question in order to be successful is, what can I give before what can I get? It's because everything is about giving. When you give to people what they're looking for, then eventually you'll get what you are looking for. And for me, owning a studio is really, in terms of employees, is really what my greatest resource is. Not having beautiful equipment, is not having a gorgeous location. My greatest resource, or having a lot of classes, and my greatest resource, I will say, it's not even my clients. My greatest resource is my instructors, because they are the heart and the soul of the studio. And my main concern every day, and my employees, so my secretaries, my main concern is, how can I use myself, what I have, and my studio to help them fulfill their dreams? How can this place where can be their place to grow, their place to dream about, their place to become better every day? And I think this is the main point of opening a business in general. It's not about how can I use them to fill up my pockets. No, it's like, how can I help them grow so much within these walls around me that they are gonna make my business successful through their light? How can I help them be unique? And that's another very important thing. I do understand there's teaching methods, but you know what? We're all different, and I strongly believe in individual uniqueness, and that's what makes us special. So I don't want my instructor to teach all the same thing in the same way, following the same manuals and with the same cueings, because the way people choose their Pilates instructor is the same way we choose our friends. We cannot be friends with everybody. I mean, I can have a pleasant time with everybody, but that connection, that chemistry that comes from the energy that we are made of, that doesn't happen with everybody. If all my instructors are a clone of each other, they're not gonna actually respond to the needs of a very wide clientele.
Yeah.
I want my instructors to be absolutely unique in their approach, in their background, in their schools that they've done, in the education, in their in the topics that they specialize in, and in the way they deliver those classes. So I truly, what I try to when I try to build my studio, it's all about how can I make this place the best place for each and one of them to develop their own way, their own passion.
Is that a consideration that you're thinking before you open? Are you thinking, right, I need a team?
Yes.
I need a team. I need
Yes,
2 or 3 people, one
yes.
to cover this, one to cover that, one to cover that.
For me, it was, I want to share. I want to share, and I want to learn. And I want to learn through making other people learn.
Yeah.
For me, this was the main point always. And
so that's kind of like your vision and your mission at the top, right? We need to cater for all of these members of the population, and I'm going to focus my energy and my resources around. So you're thinking human resources first?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then what is it? Do you have specifics, or are you trying to just cast a wide net at the beginning?
Well, to be honest, I went to New York and I spoke to Catherine and Kimberly Korb. They are the owners and founders of the Pilates on Fifth. They've one of the main Pilates studios in New York. And I went there for a class and I was talking to them, and they were like, over 20 years owning the studio, the only criteria that we apply to select the people who will work with us is their energy, their attitude, their passion, their attitude, with the way they are, the way they talk to others, the way they interact.
Because everything else can be learned.
Yes,
really.
Everything else can be learned, but the attitude, that's
And
something
the
that
energy.
and the energy, that's something really difficult to change. The generosity, the
mindset.
the mindset, and the willingness to learn and get better. That's and the smile at life, the love for life. It's something that is difficult to
That's good advice.
to learn.
Yeah.
And and it got stuck into my mind, and I have to say I have rejected many Pilates instructors who wanted to work at the studio, and their curriculum was absolutely fantastic, but they just didn't match the atmosphere, the personality that I wanted to.
Yeah, I remember I worked one of my first PT jobs in the UK once I graduated with my degree was in a Virgin Active place, and there was a whole load of us were starting over a few months, over a summer. And I started at the same time as this guy who, on paper, he had just done a course, and he'd quit his job. He had 2 young kids. He was in his late 30s, mid 30s. I was in my mid 20s. And on paper, like, I had courses, and he had 1 course. So when we went in together at the same time, I remember the manager said to me, he's like, look, you're a slow burner to me. He's like, I can tell you know your stuff, and I can tell you're quite quiet. I can tell you're quite reserved. So we need to work on your sales. We need to work on your, like, how you get your knowledge out of you and how you get it into people, and how they buy into what you're selling. And the other guy, I can't remember his name, He's like, you have the chat, you have the gift, you have the talk. You're here because you want to help people. So he's like, what you need to do is just learn from all the people around you, all the PTs. And what happened then over the next few months was just the general turnover when you have a team of maybe 12, 15 PTs in the gym. People were leaving. They just moved to the end of they're getting another job. And everybody was speaking to, Paul was his name. Everyone was speaking to this guy, Paul, will you look after my clients? Because everybody wanted their clients to get the best energy, So there was a group of the rest of us who were struggling to build our client bases. And he was like everybody's go-to guy. And then it turned out it didn't even work for me. It didn't work out for me because I couldn't learn that energy. Whatever it was, I didn't have the gift of the chat. So within 4 months, I left the job as well. And who did I give my clients to? I gave my clients to Paul because he had the energy and the other stuff he can learn. He can go on the courses and he can learn the technical thing, but you can't learn that energy. I think that's a really important thing to be aware of that.
And I'm not saying that everybody should be bubbly and have a shiny personality. I mean,
you can have serious people.
Again, it's just about the integrity, and it's about the working ethics, and it's about the generosity that you have in the job. And there's two things that really, really make me proud somehow. One is I've never heard my instructor saying, oh, she took my client, she stole my client, or I'm gonna take those clients. Everybody shares. Our clients literally take classes with all the instructors at the studio, and I never end. I really hope this can continue growing in the same direction, because this is how it should be. And we discuss cases, we have teachers meetings, and we exchange knowledge, we teach to each other. That is so precious and valuable.
I was saying before, we had a professor, so we had one of our previous podcasters was a professor in ethics, and him and his wife also owned 2 Pilates studios, and they were talking about this really delicate issue of ethics and ethics in business as well, and what it really takes to be a business owner and then be in business and then be in the fitness industry, and that very precarious line of what is right and then what is not right, and where you can kind of find and navigate your way really responsibly for both you and your clients. And that's quite an interesting topic that I feel like people just over.
Well, for me, the first point in my list is never compromise your ethics for the financial aspect. Never, ever, ever. And it matters the world to me. And I know I sound cheesy because I'm all about love and about care but you know what? These are the only things that really matter. The rest, it doesn't really matter.
So, Chloe, how do you do that then? What real tangible advice can you give to people when they're in a situation where their ethics is? Have you been in a situation where your ethics
I've been in a million
challenged?
situations, honestly, and even in front of my entire team, I've been in situations where I've been really called to should I
do you want to give us an example so people can understand?
Well, the first example that comes to my mind is you're in front of a client who has been working out with you, and either you're not sure that you're going in the right direction, or you know for sure that yes, you can help that client, but you know someone else who can help him better. Or you're in front of a client who tells you how many times per week should I exercise. I would like to come 4 to 5 times a week. Never ever think of your own benefits rather than the client's interest. The client's interest and the interest of the people around you must come before yours. And that's for me a huge proof of ethics. I'm not going to tell you need to come 5 times a week if I think that 2 is enough. And my husband is always like, why do you tell them that 2 is enough? I'm like, because it's true. Because rather than having a client paying for a huge package and committing to 5 times a week, which is going to be too expensive financially, and it's going to be too demanding in terms of commitment, and they're going to stop coming within 3 weeks because it's too much, I'd rather have somebody coming twice a week and staying for 2 years. And although everything comes from being honest, and then it ends up also being more profitable for me, but it also we need to be reasonable. We need to be reasonable. And when I know that somebody else can help my clients more, or if I see that they're not fully happy and because maybe they would like to, I know my husband loves Pilates, but he needs to go running and to go boxing because otherwise he's gonna get nuts at the end of the week. And I'm the one telling them, listen, I have this professional that I really know and that I really went myself to, and I trust his professionalism and his knowledge. Go and see them, because I know that they can really help you more than I'm helping you. And of course, they are gonna go to somebody else, so they're probably not gonna come to me for some time. But and if you refer to real professionals that you really trust and you work with and you know their value, they are going to send you back so many people, because they trust that you have their own interest in mind before yours, and that you work in a network of professionals who are really valuable and that can be trusted. And that is priceless. That is priceless. And something else, and this is about Dubai, do not get paid for clients. Do not accept do not pay to have clients. Do not accept that. That is completely
What do you mean by that?
wrong. Don't get commissions to be referred.
Say again?
Don't get commissions to have referrals.
So like a physiotherapist.
Don't pay commissions to get referrals.
Oh, like a kickback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
a kickback.
Yes.
Okay.
Do people do that here?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Yeah, really? We didn't know that.
How come?
I don't know.
That's
I've
how
never done it.
that's very common in Dubai, and I've been asked a lot of times, and
I've never done that.
I've had a chiropractic.
That's called a doctor fee. You don't know?
No, I've had a
Okay.
chiropractic clinic tell us that they were willing to give us free for X many clients, we'd get free orthotics, and with this many clients, we'd get another thing and another thing. Which to me, and I'll be honest, I was fresh in Dubai. I was in Dubai like 6 months or 9 months at the time. This is my old job. I walked out of the meeting going, I didn't want that. Like, I didn't want them to come to the table and bring that, offer me that. I actually thought that's really discredited this chiropractic clinic. I was like, I just wanted them to know about us to know about them, and we'll just have an exchange of service and traffic. We're like, if someone's right for us, send them here, and vice versa.
I think, like, from my perspective, I only refer people to the physios that I've worked with.
Yeah.
And most people that contact me are people who've had accidents and who are like really messed up. And the only people that I refer them to are the people that I worked with, because I know.
Yeah.
So I refer them. We spoke about this to Miffy and
Yeah.
to people that I know helped me, and you, and like.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would never do
Yeah,
that.
no, I mean, you've got a huge experience. Like, I was probably in Dubai maybe 6 months, so I'm trying to go knocking on doors, and I'm trying to get my name out there. Now it's purely based on experiential, the people that I know and trust, and we have these little networks. But when I was literally knocking on doors to try and build a network, this clinic came in, and this woman just came with this angle on things, and I thought, this isn't. I don't want this. I actually
you know
don't.
what though? Sorry to interrupt you there, Keith. Like, I have one of my best friends used to be in the pharmaceutical industry here. She's probably going to kill me for saying this, but in Australia, pharmaceutical industries are really tightly rigged. Like, not rigged, sorry, very tightly controlled. So there's no kickbacks. And here in Dubai, to refer to convince doctors to prescribe different medication, they would give them a holiday,
That's super. Listen, my parents are doctors,
I'm
and
sure.
I mean, I've seen this since I was really young. I mean, they bring them to holidays, they bring them to very fashionable restaurants,
exactly.
and then, I mean, this is the way it works. But going back to the topic, I don't.
That's terrible.
I
isn't
think it's very. It doesn't give credit to your professionalism when
all.
you accept to pay in order, or give a commission in order to receive clients, and that also doesn't give you the measure of the work that you are doing, the quality of the work that you are doing. Because you know what, if your studio is empty, then either you have a marketing problem, but even even though I never really had budget to invest in marketing, never, because I don't come from a rich family, and I just had about right to open the studio, and even not enough, I would say. But
So how did you migrate that one?
in terms of
Finance.
marketing
No,
or
the finance
finance?
for the setup, yeah.
Ooh.
Because that's a huge challenge that lots of people face. Like, I don't have the money to set up my own anything. So
And especially in Dubai, like Dubai's a really challenging place because you pay, and some of the people that are listening to this are obviously not from Dubai. They don't know that you pay rent here, like in 2 checks, 1 check, or 4 checks.
Yeah.
And 4 checks is being really generous. And to pay your rent for a commercial like license in one go.
Yeah. And what that means is you write the checks on the 1st of January and you date them across the year, and then you hand them to the landlord. So that money's coming out of your account, whether you have it or not, and it's huge chunks.
So Chloe, how did you navigate that, and what advice do you have for people who are thinking about opening studios and it's the finance part of it that they're having challenges with? What did you do?
So when I don't think a lot of people know the story, only my close friends, but when we moved to Dubai, my husband had a little saving from 15 years of saving, and I had very little. I knocked my mother's door, and my mom has been so supportive. Nothing would have been possible without her. And she told me, listen, if you have a dream, I trust you. And she gave me basically everything she had. She literally emptied her bank account. And we moved to Dubai, and we had spoken to a consultancy agency who was helping us with all the paperwork and licensing. And they had told us, within 2 to 3 months, you're going to open your business. You don't need longer. The architect was like, we need 1.5 months to do the fit out, and it's going to be good. So we budgeted a certain amount of money, and then we planned according to a certain amount of time. It took us 14 months to open the studio, and so the time got more than tripled, like 5 times more amount of time that we had thought.
Were you paying rent the whole time?
Sorry?
Were you paying rent the whole time?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course. And
why did it take so long to open?
Maybe we can have another podcast for that.
The difficulties of opening a business in Dubai.
And it also, the budget went to up the stars, literally. I mean, we had to, it wasn't even double. It was like probably more than double that what we had in our bank accounts. But we had no way back. We were stuck in between. We were like, we had already spent everything we have. We cannot go back. We cannot go forward. What do we do? And we had so many things going wrong. We had so many people taking advantage of the fact that we didn't have experience. Everything went completely south to all extents. We lived for 3 days and 3 months and 21 days without electricity and water at home.
Wow.
So we didn't have. I was going to the toilet with a front lamp because I couldn't switch on the light, and there was no water in the shower. So it was really, really, really tough. And for 23 months, I couldn't afford a flight to go back to my country and to just say hi to my father. And my mom had no more money to help me, and my father was not in a good economical situation, and my husband's parents tried to help as much as they could, but none of us is very wealthy. So it was really, really tough, and we got to a point where we were working every possible job, and my husband was like literally trying to support us and support the opening of the business. And we got to a point where $10,000 were missing. Like we could literally not. We just needed $10,000 to open the doors, and that's a point where I met a girl in Dubai. We became very good friends, and 3 months after knowing me, she came to me and she was like, "Listen, I know you. I mean, I don't need more time to understand the person you are. Here is a check. There's $10,000."
That's very generous.
That's how it happened. And now, of course, I paid my my debt. I paid it back. I actually finished paying it back last year after 3 years. She didn't need that money, of course, but
it's the principle as well behind
no,
it,
of course, I would pay it back fully. But she also allowed me to do it slowly so that I could get back on my feet.
You paid it back in 3 years? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I could have probably paid it back before, but I was literally trying to build up a little cushion on the bank account so that because then you start having employees and you're responsible for them. So it's also it's not easy. As soon as somebody starts working with you, or either as a freelancer or as an employee, it doesn't really matter. You're still responsible for their financial situation. And I have been giving my hours to my instructors so many times in order to make sure that I was providing enough hours for them to teach.
How do you juggle all that stress?
Oh,
how do you what's the self-talk, or how do you get so laser focused that all of these sort of stresses and threats, this is what I want to do. These are my plan. This is what I want to get to.
That's probably the power of visualization, as I told you. As I told you in the previous episode, my dream was so strongly vivid in my brain, and I could picture myself there, and I knew. I knew my values. I knew how much I could bring to this city. So I was like, you just need to get there. Just get there, and then it's gonna be okay.
And was it okay?
When
you got there?
Well, thanks God, yes. And if I think now, about 3 years ago, I was in 3,000 square feet, which is a huge amount of space. My mom was like, what are you going to do with all that space? And now we don't have enough space to fit all the equipment. I was like, everything was too small in my previous studio. I want space because I know I'm going to expand. I'm going to bring novelty. I'm going to have new things coming from all over the world. And I'm going to have so much people that I'm going to need all this space to be filled up. But it was probably the 15th of August, 2015, and I was alone in 3,000 square feet on the 42nd floor, and I was designing the website, answering the emails, watering the plants, cleaning the toilet, teaching classes, and I don't know how it happened that people walked through that door on the 42nd floor, but it happened.
Yeah.
And honestly, my best form of marketing, because you can imagine there was no chance we could have paid for any marketing strategy or anything. The best marketing was doing a proper job. When you really, really do a good job, then people speak about you. When you love something, you share it. And my clients my friends started sharing their experiences, and that's
Did you give away like free sessions? Did you do like free trials, all that?
I did at the very, very beginning, but if I have to give a piece of advice to new studio owners, we're always really worried that people are not going to walk through the door, so we give a lot of free sessions. The thing is, people who come to try your classes for free, who are willing to try your classes for free, most of the times are not real clients, because they're not people who are willing to pay a little bit to come and try you. And that is not real clientele. Most of the time, free trial clients are not likely to become true clients. People who are likely to become, who can become a real client, is a person who can pay a little bit to try.
Yeah.
Because if they're willing to pay a little bit to try, then they're willing to pay more to stay. But if they're not even willing to pay a little bit to try, it's very likely that they're not gonna stay with you. So you might have your studio full of people coming for free trials, and then you'll realize that the people who actually buy a package is not very numerous. So better to have less trials. You're not going to get rich through that amount of money that you charge, but you will know the commitment from the client side. And what is really important is how much energy you can save, how much you can maintain your integrity in terms of teacher. You cannot give your energy away to everybody who just comes and wants to try. You need to select the people who you want to give your energy to, and it's super important that we don't do free trials anymore. I mean, I stopped doing it after very few months because I realized nothing was coming out of it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting philosophy because I've run circuit classes where we spend years
So just so you know, Keith also has a fitness business. So he's got 4 business partners as well, separate to a life of education.
PT, one-on-one, small group, and circuit class. And at the start of the circuit class, we were given loads and loads of freebies to try and get it off the ground, just to get volumes, to get people in. And looking back on it now, we knew how much energy it was going to take, and we went for it. And we probably sustained it for a long period of time, more so than maybe we might have expected. But eventually, it just tapers off.
It's not sustainable.
And then you're left with the people who love it, and the people who are going to come no matter where we'll go. You know, we go here, they come here. We go there, we go there. And I think what you said at the very start is the most important thing in my view is you need to have your quality there. You need, people can see quality, they can sense it, they can feel it, and they will pay for quality. Like if you've got such high quality, any price you're offering is a bargain. You know, if you're on the precipice of like, this is the price and this is what I do, and then it doesn't work, you're not adding value by being better.
And I strongly believe quality comes from education, and that's it. And I cannot tell you how many free trainings I have been giving and I will give to my instructors at the studio. 100%. I mean, all my instructors have taken free courses from the studio, and we do teachers meetings where I invite people to speak or to just to broaden the horizon, you know, or to make them curious. And I try to bring. I've been trying in the past months. I've been bringing influencers and inspiring women from California, from the UK, from Arizona, who flew all the way to Dubai to share their passion and their knowledge and their Pilates journey with us. And that's why I did all these, to share. But quality comes from education. We need to keep investing in educating ourselves, either with a book, with an online course, with trainings. Last year I traveled 33 hours by plane to just spend 4 days in California to attend a training, which has been one of the most inspiring teacher trainings I've ever attended. And it's priceless. I mean, it costed me a fortune, but it is priceless in terms of the connection you make, the professional connection you make, the enthusiasm that comes out of sharing what you love with other people like you, and learning so much, coming back empowered with so much more energy and willingness to share more and to show more, you know, like, let me show my clients what we can do together.
Yeah, you get massively invigorated, and you get like a little jump start, a little electric shock to your system, and you go again.
Yeah, and it keeps you growing and moving forward as well as a professional. That's important, because otherwise you can stagnate too.
Totally.
It's
sometimes it can give you a better understanding of the things that you already know.
Totally.
So what I've found on courses, I'll go on and I know this thing works, because I've done it a million times and it works. And then I go on a course and that connects the dot, and I go, so that's why that's actually working. Okay, so now I can actually quadruple the productivity of what I already know. I just needed these 2 little synapses connected, and then off you go. But I really do believe that quality will float to the top, and the people who were taking kickbacks, you know, for commissions, they can't compete with somebody who's with a trainer who's getting positive referrals from the clients that are already going to them, or the instructor, or the yoga teacher. In the office, it's the middle of the day, someone complains of a back injury, someone else tells them, I have this great trainer, that's more valuable for the referral than a clinical setting or whoever's given the kickback to say, hey, go to that guy. They go to that guy, they realize that guy's not very good. That loses the trust of both of those. Why did you send me to that person? That person like hurt me. Remember like your experience as well, Caroline, with when you started your journey out of the clinics.
And here comes another very important point. I believe there's a lot of, I would call them with an Italian word, a tautologist. They make everything. Like they open studios and they offer yoga, Pilates, and then they offer Zumba, and then they make meditation things, and then they have circuit training, high interval intensive, I don't even know, all those trainings. And it's a little bit of everything, and it's a whole of nothing, because you cannot be good at everything. You can't. If you want to strive for that excellence, you must do one thing and you must be the best. Like you do one thing and you're the absolute best at what you do, or you really strive for that position. You really try to be the number one. And again, you go for education. And I feel like we're so lucky nowadays because education is available everywhere, and you can combine holidays with education. You can travel to a place, visit for a couple of days, and also do a training and you build international network, and that's so precious. So, but again, educate yourself to be the best at one thing. You cannot be the best at everything. Yeah. So when you want to focus your business on one thing, and within the Pilates industry itself, there is so much that you can specialize. Again, I'm not saying you should only do that, but choose one topic. And I have, like, you spoke to Marianne. She's she's probably the first instructor who ever worked with me. And the first Pilates class she ever taught in her entire life, she taught it to me. And because she came for an interview at the studio, and through the years, she found her passion through developing more skills into core strengthening, into pre- and postnatal rehabilitation, and into that journey. And she's becoming so good at it. And I have other instructors with other passions within the same, like, Pilates world. So you can work with teenagers, you can work with elderly, you can have a more fitness approach and work with athletes, you can have a more rehabilitative approach and work with injuries. I mean, you know better than me. But when you open your business, find the thing you want to offer and be number one in town.
That's good advice.
Yeah, awesome. So just where can people get in touch with you again? Just remind people of where they can catch you online.
Well, online you can find me on pilatesacademydubai.com. We have a studio in JLT and a very, very new branch in Business Bay, or on my Instagram page, which is Pilates Academy Dubai.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks again for coming to us a second time.
Thank you
we really
very
appreciate
much.
you.
Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.
See you again, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.